Hello and welcome to Human Design Chart Spotlights, where I take a focused look at individual charts around a specific question or theme. In this chart spotlight reading, I'm looking at the chart of a 5-1 splenic projector who wants to explore career themes in her design. No personal details are shared, just the design and what it has to say about that specific question. If you have the same type or profile, or if this theme is showing up for you in your own life right now, watch how this lands for you. Your chart might be saying something similar. Thank you for having me here today. Today I am doing your Human Design Spotlight reading, and your question was about career. Now, there wasn't a specific question. You just wanted some insight as to career direction and all of that. Now, you and I have talked before, so you know that human design is not going to tell you what job to take or what career to pursue or even, what field you need to be in. But what it is going to do is help you understand the underlying themes in your life and in your design, and help you with how you make decisions. So to help, that can help guide you when you decide what direction you want to go. So this is going to kind of give you that underlying theme of your life that might help you decide what direction you do want to go. Now, we've also talked about your type and strategy in the past. So you know that you are a projector and your authority is splenic. And so I'm not going to get too much into that today, but I will tie some of that in a little bit later on. What I do want to start with is my favorite part of the chart, and that is your incarnation cross. You will find that right here. You are the left angle cross of demands. I know that sounds a little intimidating. And your incarnation cross comes from these four gates here on your personality and your design side. And your incarnation cross is essentially your life purpose. Everything that you've done in your life up to this point, if you look back after I talk about your incarnation cross, you'll probably see these themes have played over and over and over throughout your life. And that is going to be a big indicator of maybe the direction you might want to head when you start thinking about a career or building a business or finding a new job. Okay, so the left angle cross of demands, um, it embodies a lot of different things. Okay, your joyful nature, your need for control, your desire for deep knowledge, which we'll talk a lot about later as well, and inner peace, keeping that inner peace within you. Now, this sounds like a lot of different things going in a lot of different directions, but really it's not. It does all tie together, and I'll talk about that. Now, the core of your incarnation cross is your, um, um, oh, I have no words today, your conscious sun right here, the gate 58 in your conscious sun. And that is the gate of joy. So, following your joy in everything you do, helping others express their joy, and being that example to everybody in, no matter what it is that you're doing, bringing that joy to the forefront of all of it. Um, Now, let's talk a little bit about the control part. I mentioned, the need for control. And this is actually in your heart center. This is the gate 21. Um, that's the hunter. Okay, and that is in your heart center. And this is not so much about having control over other people, but having control over your life and your circumstances. And it may show up as being that leader that people turn to, being organized. You probably have a tendency to be more organized. And this is often why others will probably turn to you for answers because of those gifts that you hold. You're deep diving into gaining knowledge, which we'll talk a lot about later as well, gives you that control and it gives you those answers that you and other people are seeking. Okay, let me clear out some of this. Now, layering on top of this, your 5-1 profile. Okay, the visionary investigator. Now we might have talked about profile before. I don't know if we have. You're going to find that right here. The line five is the visionary. You see the bigger picture in things. You're a natural leader, and people tend to turn to you for help, for assistance, for answers, that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, your line one, that's the investigator. Again, that is that, looking deep into, building more knowledge and wanting to gain more knowledge. You're also going to see that up here. You have the open head and ajna centers, and that leaves you wide open for just wanting to sometimes dive down rabbit holes. Okay, I feel you on that. I have that same openness up there, and always wanting to find the next answer, and sometimes one answer leads to the next, but all of this is building knowledge, and this is knowledge that you're going to store away and use in the future, and this is knowledge that people are going to come to you for when they need answers. Okay, so that is your profile. So that just layered on top of that incarnation cross, we're starting to see a very common theme here about, visionary and, having that deep desire for knowledge and really digging deep in all of that. And that's kind of one of the main underlying themes in your life. Now, back to your profile and the line five, something to watch out for as a line five is that others will look to you for guidance. They'll look to you for answers. They're going to come to you as a leader, but you don't need to save everybody. Okay. Go back to that joy. Remember, what brings you joy and where are your boundaries? Okay. You don't need to save the world. Okay. So let's get out of there. And the next thing I want to talk about is right down here. That is that defined channel 5432. Now, that's the only defined channel that you have in your chart. So you've got a lot of openness up here, but that divine channel defines your spleen and your root center. Okay, and those are going to become very, very important as we move on here. This is a tribal channel, which means that part of what you're here to do, much of what you're here to do in this life, is to support your tribe and your immediate community. Okay. So your life isn't so much about, bettering yourself and being an individual, and it's not about saving the world and, putting something out there to the world at large, but it's really being an influence to your immediate community, your tribe, your family, okay? Kind of the localized people who look to you, okay? Now, that 5432 channel is also about an entrepreneurial drive, okay? And I know that you do have another business, and I don't know if you're looking to start another one or what it is that your core question is here. But you do have that strong entrepreneurial drive. And again, taking the big picture ideas and turning them into reality. Okay, does this sound familiar from that line five visionary? It's a drive towards building something that endures. Okay, now the gate 54, that is down here in your root center. That's one side of it. And the gate 54 is divine inspiration. It's also known as the gate of drive. Again, that need for control. This is ambition energy. This is that, get up and go. I want to go get something done energy, making things happen. Okay. Now, the shadow side of this gate is giving up too soon. If results don't come right away, remember that divine timing. Remember to trust in that divine timing. We talked about that with you being a projector, that timing is everything. You might have an answer to something for somebody. You might see something very clearly that will solve their problem. And so you try to go to them and give them this answer. But if they're not ready or willing to receive that information yet, they're going to shut you down. And, that can be very disappointing. So you need to remember, one of the things that you will remember is wait for the invitation. And we had talked about this before. The invitation isn't always going to come up as, hey, I have this problem. Can you help me with the answer? It might just be somebody mentioning something to you. And that kind of gives you the opening to share with them what you know, or, the knowledge that you have that can help them. Okay. So where was I with this? Oh yeah. So you might have all of this information, you might have this great idea, and you put it out there and you start building it. And maybe it's not producing as fast as you thought. And so you decide, well, this is it. I'm just going to give up. We're going to shut this down and start on something new. Remember divine timing. Okay. So we don't want to give up too soon. This root center is an energy center, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So, again, that's the shadow side. Trust in divine timing. If you have something and you know instinctively that this is what you're supposed to be doing, you feel it and you do it, it might just be a little slow to get started. And it might be a little bit slow to reach the right people. Okay? Timing is everything. So, the other side of this, let's pop out of there. Whoops, there, is that gate 32, and that's in your spleen center right there. The gate 32 is endurance. Now, this is kind of leads off of what I just talked about. We're looking at what will last and trusting your instincts to know what will and what won't last. Okay. The flip side of this is the fear of failure, playing it safe or not stepping forward, not moving forward with something because of doubt. You're doubting, will this last? Is this sustainable? Is this something that really needs to be out there? Now, being that, this is coming from your defined spleen here, that defined spleen is your instinct, your intuition, it's the survival mode. And so when you learn to trust that, you've got that very steady energy from the defined spleen. Trust that when it comes to you, it's the right thing and you can move forward with it. Now, that said, there is a very interesting dynamic going on here between this channel, this 5432 channel. This channel is all about drive and motion and moving forward. Yet you have, nope, not that one. Hold on. Backwards. Oh, how do I get back out of there? There we go. You have the undefined will here. And that can have a lot of conditioning around it. That can have, that feeling of needing to prove yourself a lot, or, do I know enough? Do I really have the authority to be saying what I'm saying here? Okay. So you've got kind of this little bit of doubt, we'll call it, that plays against this drive to move forward. And, so it's just something that you'll want to, kind of keep an eye on and, you know, tap into, the other, the gate 21, the gate 26 that you do have defined here. And just be in touch with when you're feeling these feelings of doubt and you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. Okay, you are you and you are the only you out there. Nobody else can be you and nobody else has what you have to offer, which by default makes whatever you offer valid. Okay, and it is needed and it is wanted out there in the world. Okay, so again, that was a lot. I'm gonna make sure I didn't fit any or didn't miss anything here. Yeah, so that open will, just wanting to prove yourself, and you don't need to prove yourself. Whatever you have going on here, whatever you're feeling that drive to do something, move on it. You can do that. It's all good. Um, so I want to step away from this part of your chart right now and talk about the planetary influences. Now this side here and this side here, these are all the planetary influences and the planets that are moving through different gates in your design. And so the first one I want to talk about is, where is it here? That is your Jupiter, gate 64. Okay, Jupiter is where you are designed to find abundance. Okay, this might show the type of work that feels most rewarding to you. When you're feeling really good about what you're doing, you're going to do a great job, and that in return is going to bring you more abundance, either more clients, more money, whatever it happens to be. This the gate that's in Jupiter is where you're going to attract that abundance. And for you, that's gate 64. Now, it's called the gate of confusion, but it's also known as the gate of divine transference. Excuse me. This talks about those big ideas that you have and turning them into reality. Okay, again, we talked about that before in your incarnation cross, your profile line 5 as the visionary. So, again, you know, this is all about taking those big ideas. When you get these flashes of inspiration, which you're getting a lot of input up here in these open centers, you know, trust that gut instinct, not so much your gut instincts, your intuition. Intuition's a little bit different than your gut instinct, but trusting your intuition, it's going to come in a very quick moment. And the more you practice trusting that, the more you'll be in tune with that. So you get these big ideas, that's what is going to move you. That is where you're going to find your success. Okay. The next one I want to talk about is your North Node, and that is right here. That's this funny little shape up here. And for you, that's gate 38. Now, the North Node is where you're moving toward in this lifetime. It's kind of the path you're taking in this lifetime. Um, and here you have gate 38, the visionary. There's that word again. So, are you seeing a pattern here? You're a visionary. We're getting told that from all different directions. Um, Using your experiences and everything that you've gone through in life and will go through in the future to craft a vision and manifest it. You're going to use all of your experiences to create these big ideas that will probably support your tribe, your local community, your friends, your family, um, and you're going to make them happen. Okay, that's part of your gift here. Um, and it's also about knowing what ideas are worth fighting for. Now, that defined spleen, we're going to go back to that again. That is your intuition, and you want to trust that. So when you get these ideas, when you get these, you know, visions of, what to do, trust that instinct, trust that intuition that you have, that yeah, this is the right thing, this is the direction I need to go. Okay, with that defined spleen. The next one I want to talk about is kind of interesting, and that is your Venus in gate 14 right here. That is the gate of creation, gate 14. Now Venus is what you're drawn to, and in career talk, it's kind of like what you want to be surrounded by when you're working in your job, in your business, in your career. What do you want to be surrounded by? And gate 14 talks about no longer working for money or material gain, but working to transform the world. And for you, that world being your tribe, your immediate community. Okay. So, what is it that moves you, that you're drawn to, that you basically, it's what would you do if money weren't the issue? Because really your drive, your focus, it comes more from the transformation that you can provide, more so than just the material gain around it. Okay. I don't know if that made sense. I hope so. And the last planet I want to look at here is Mars. And Mars is what drives you. So this is your Mars right here, gate 26. And gate 26, so Mars again is what drives you. It's how you take action. Okay. Gate 26 is the gate of integrity. And this gate is all about living in physical and energetic integrity, honoring your boundaries, valuing and nurturing yourself so that you have more to give to others. Okay. And that's what drives you, is that whole sense of integrity, that everything is solid. Okay. There's no question about any of it. All right. Okay, I want to make sure I'm kind of going over my notes because I don't want to forget anything here for you. I do note this was a lot of information, and I hope that it resonates with you and your questions around career. I would also like to offer you some questions for contemplation as you sit with all of this. I do encourage you to watch this all the way through once and then go back and watch it again and take notes and kind of, go back to the pieces that really stuck out for you. Okay. But I do have some questions that you can sit with, you can journal with them, whatever works for you. The first one is, how have you seen your incarnation cross themes show up in your life and in your career so far? Okay, your joy, that control, the desire for knowledge, the inner peace. And remember, the controlling it's more about controlling your environment and not controlling other people. So, maybe you lean more towards owning a business versus having a job because that gives you more control. Okay, so how have you seen these themes show up in your life so far? The second question is, do you or can you see yourself as a visionary? Okay, now that word came up a lot in your chart in all different places. So this is something that you're going to want to embrace, okay? That you do have big ideas and that you're designed to put these ideas out there and bring them to life, okay? Do you value these big ideas that you have? And do you see how they might help others? Especially those people in your tribe, your family, your friends, your community. Okay. Like I said, you're not necessarily designed to save the world here, but you do have a lot of push in your design to impact your immediate community, your tribe. Okay. The third question, and this might be a tough one. Have you ever found yourself holding back from taking a big step due to uncertainty or a fear of failure? Maybe you had this big idea or this big dream, but you didn't move forward with it because maybe you felt you had to prove yourself first before people would take you seriously, okay? Before others would believe in you or believe in your idea. Okay, have you ever found yourself holding back from taking a big step due to uncertainty or fear of failure? Okay, and a lot of that comes from, again, this open will center here. It can also come from the open head and ajna, where it does leave us open to gathering information and going down rabbit holes, but sometimes we can spiral down those rabbit holes and we can start to overthink things rather than just feeling them in our body and letting them happen. Okay. And the last question I have for you is, what vision do you have of your ideal career? Maybe not exactly what the career is or what field it's in, but what it does, how it serves other people, how it serves you, and how it brings you joy and peace. Because again, those are some underlying themes in your incarnation cross that you'll want to kind of keep in touch with. So thank you again for letting me do your spotlight reading today. If you have any questions or if you want to dig a little deeper into any of these topics that I talked about, you know how to reach me. You can drop me an email and we can certainly go over those. So thank you again. If something in this reading sparked a question about your own chart, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what came up for you. And if you're ready to take a focused look at your own design, chart spotlight openings are announced on my email list. The link is in the description.